This is our project, Volunteer Mart. Our group is Group 10, and the name of the group members are Manraj, Patik, Narendra, Robin, and Kishan. So now coming to the introduction part. So our application Volunteer Mart is a platform which makes online shopping easy. Mostly what it provides is provides a platform to the people in need, mostly the people who are old age and all. So what are the issues? So the people with special needs and senior citizens cannot go to the malls, shopping mall, and cannot wait in the long line and all. So that is the issue. So what are the solution we are proposing is we are giving a platform to the order online grocery. So what we are doing is any people with disability or any other people, old age or any young people or anyone can place their order, and one volunteer will came and the volunteer will order that items, pick that items from the particular store and will deliver that item to the one who had order, the person in need. Okay, the key features are registering the customer or delivery person, placing orders, volunteer or accepting orders and all, point earning. Okay, so mostly the target inside is like the customer with 45 and above. Our competition is the Dunzo and PC Express. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so mostly the design of the app is done in the React.js using the CSS library like Bootstrap, and in backend we have used Express and Node.js. The database is RDMS and the deployment is done on Heroku. Yeah, so that's all for the introduction. Let's move to the demo part. Okay.
Okay, so this is our landing page of the project. This is how it looks. Okay, when we scroll to the page or click on the buttons, if we click on the features, we move to the feature part. If we click on the about us, we move to about us part of the page. And with scrolling also it shows this. Now I'm moving to the login page. On login, if you're not logging into the page, you cannot just move to any page. Like you cannot go to any other page without logging in. So first I'll go to the admin part. In the admin part, the password is admin and admin right now. And next is, if we move to the add items, we can create store, remove item, remove store, update item, and add item. If I try to add item, I need to give the store name first. And give the URL of the image. The URL I've already saved, so I'll copy paste it and add. So the item is added. If I want to remove an item, I'll just go over here and add the store name and reload. And here I'll see all the items, those are all in that store. So I'll write the name of the item and it will be removed. So now moving to the logging out as an admin. So I'm moving to the login page. For the login page there, if I don't have any user, then let's say I add something. Create a username and for this, if you enter some wrong email ID, it will give you error. Like this email ID is not accepted. Same kind of regex is implemented in password also. It doesn't accept enter valid password and it prompts us from logging in, from signing up. So again, I'll enter. Submit. Now we can log in with the same email ID, or we can reset the password. If we want to reset the password, we will have to give the correct email ID, or else if we give a wrong email ID, it will say that this does not exist. Next is, if I write the correct email ID, then it will take me to the password reset part, where I have to enter the correct answer to the question that I've written, and then the password which I want to reset. If the question is answer is correct, then only I'll be directed to this page. The passwords match, I'll say update password, submit. Sorry, I'll have to add. If I enter wrong password, it won't let me log in. Or any credentials are wrong, it won't let me log in. No, submit. Amen. We can see the stores first. So on the home page, there are the list of stores which we can select from. If I select this store, there are some different items. If I select another store, there are different items from which I can select. So from the main page, if I see this, if I want to add the drumsticks, I'll just add from here. And one more thing, we cannot proceed the actual number of items. If I add 10 items, I cannot add, if there are 10 items available, I cannot add more than 10. So this is also the functionality. There are some filters, like if I want to select meat, or if I want essentials, fruits. There are no drinks in this store, so you can find in drinks, or dishwashers also are not there. And vegetables, there are 2 vegetables, so you can find the 2 vegetables over here. And the home, going to another store, we can select items from another store also. If I try to select meat, there we can see there is no meat in the store, but there are fruits, so we can see the fruits. There is drink, and the dishware is also there, so there are no vegetables, so we can see no vegetables in here. After selecting the items, we can move to the My Cart page. In the My Cart page, all the items that we selected will be listed. From here, we can remove the items like this, and the whole item will be removed. If I want to remove all the items, I'll just click on Remove All Items. And going to the home page, again, adding some items for moving to the payment page. And as you can see, I've added only two items, and a number of items per item is 5. So proceeding to payment. So the payment, in the payment part, the total value will be calculated on the basis of the number of items per category selected and the number of and the quantity. It will be multiplied, and the total will be shown over here. There are several ways that we can use to pay, and one is credit card, debit card, cash, or points. For cash and points, you don't have to enter anything; just place the order. And for the credit card and debit card, you will have to enter your details, card details. And for the card details, if you enter like anything other than characters, it will throw error, because there cannot be any character in the name. And then comes the debit card. We have to enter 16 characters, else it won't accept. And more than 16 characters you cannot type. Then is CVV. And more than 3 characters you cannot type. Less than 3 characters will throw the error. So for the date part, you cannot put more than 12 in the month part, because there are only 12 months, and you cannot put 2020 like any year in the past. So if you put 2020 or 2019, it won't accept. It will only accept the current year or the future year. This is the way. If I click on place order, the order will be placed, and the whole item will be removed because the order is already placed. From here, we can move to the volunteers, where the all items that where the all orders will be listed. This functionality UI is not yet developed completely, but the backend is complete. So the next is customer care part. In this customer care part, you just have to you can file the complaint from this list. Select any part, and in the description, like I want to the description of the complaint, and then submit. The ticket will be generated for that. As we can see that if I click on update, and it will come back over here, and if I click on update, it will come back over here, all details, and I'll click on update, and ticket order return will be generated again. So this is it for the demo. Thank you so much. Now we'll move to the questionnaire part.
Now we will continue with the queries. Yeah. So what is the level of completeness of our program? I can say that the most of the functionalities of our project is completed, like the login, user management, the cart management, the product catalog, admin catalog, customer care, and payment thing. So like 70 to 75% of our project is completed. The features which are remaining in our project are the wish list, the point management, and the order management. The reason for not completing the features are mainly because the 2 of our members were traveling from India, and it is hard in this COVID times. So the time was there was not enough time for them, and also the features which we expected which to complete were somewhat bigger and more complicated. So yeah, so it demands more time for that. That's why it was remaining. So what are our next steps in completing the project? So we will try to as you can see in the volunteer thing, the UI was remaining. So yeah, we will improve the UI of our that volunteer part and all, and also we will complete this order management, wish list, and point management thing. So hopefully we can give a tough competition to our rivals in this thing. Yeah. So going to the next question, Manraj will continue.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. So next question is, what issue did you experience with hosting your application, and how did you go about solving these issues? Are these considered recurring issues? So the one issue that we faced was Heroku deployment issue, where backend node was not working because of CORS policy of restriction access. So what we did is we added a link of our front-end application to exempt it from the restriction, and the issue was resolved. The issue will not happen if the front-end platform will be registered with it, which is trying to access the backend API is registered with course. So actually, it's not exactly an issue. It's another security layer, because if the link of the front end is not registered with the backend, the front end will not be able to access the APIs of the backend. Next question was that what UX approaches did you implement when planning, designing, and developing this prototype? What was your rationale for opting for these approaches? How does your overall design tie in with the application as a brand? So for UX designs, we use three click navigation and color palette and typography. As we are targeting customers of 45 and above age, so we try to keep it as simple as possible for users. We used light green color for the header and footer components to make it easy to use. The main idea of this application revolves around simplicity of the page, making it easy to access by elderly people. That's where three-click navigation helps us.
So the question is which development framework which we used and why we didn't use another framework. So we use React.js for our front end and Express drop on the Node.js for our backend framework. The reason we didn't choose AngularJS for our front end was because of the steep learning curve, and also all our team members were wanted to learn React.js. The reason why we didn't choose Flask for our backend. So the Flask is a single thread service, so it doesn't support asynchronous request of users. So at first we decided to use Node.js, but after watching tutorials of TAs and also some self-study, we realized that by using Express.js we can create our application much faster. Next. So the next question is how scalable our system is right now, and which approach should we implement in future. So right now our front end and backend is deployed on Heroku, and we are using free tier account. So both front end and backend are not scalable, but for our database we are using MySQL database on AWS RDS, which is highly scalable. In future we would like to deploy our front end and backend on more scalable services like Google's cloud run service. Like if in some situation if the active users on our application increases drastically, then the backend processing and the front end loading time will increase. And as we are not using any scalable development deployment environment, so the load will also increase and our performance will decrease. Now Narendra will continue.
What are the vulnerable areas in our application and how did we mitigate them? So the common areas of vulnerability in our application are the authentication of the unsolicited users. So if a unsolicited user gains access to one of the users of our application and tries to log in and tries to change the forgot password, we have multi-factor authentication to block that. And the page redirection, which if a user is not logged in and if they try to access the payment page, they will be redirected back to the login page. And the other vulnerability is the SQL injection. So since our application in some pages we have the text boxes, it opens the door for the hackers to enter the SQL queries, and which will, if reaches the Node.js, which is our backend, would gain the actors would gain access to the database. So we are trying to mitigate that with the help of not passing the variables directly into the backend. And cross-site scripting is entering the JavaScript code in the text boxes. In the client side, we are checking the text box values before they are passed into the backend. And insecure direct object reference vulnerability is using the local storage and cookies. We did not use those technologies, so instead we have opted for the session storage to increase the security of our application. Next slide, please. So which APIs did we use, and what are the others that were in consideration? So we have used REST API for our application. REST API basically has 4 methods: get, put, post, and delete. SOAP, on the other hand, it has only get and post, but also it's totally under scrutiny for the post method. It doesn't give it direct access. The developers has to go a way around to use that, and it's so complex. And SOAP only allows XML format of data, whereas REST allows JSON and XML. And the REST API is superior performance, particularly through caching for information that's not altered and not dynamic. REST API is generally faster and uses less bandwidth. So these are the reasons that we have opted for the REST API over SOAP. Over to Ravinder. So in regards to data format, storage and management, which solution did you choose? Why did you choose this solution instead of another data format or data storage? And how does that relate to the backend of your application? For data format, we have chosen text and images. We chose text because it is of small size and it is easier to process. And it can be easily exchanged even via email or disk. So most of the text data can be opened on the computers running any operating system using very basic software. So we chose images because it gives a general idea about the page, it captures the attention, adds the color and vibrancy, and so we can convey our idea faster with the help of images. For storage and management, we chose MySQL instance running in AWS RDS. So we chose MySQL because first of all, it is widely used all around the world and it is easy to interact to. We can use just some basic queries to interact, and it is fast because it has really better performance on simple queries that is required on daily basis. So AWS RDS is running our MySQL instance. We chose AWS RDS because first of all, it is running on AWS infrastructure. So it is really reliable and it is easily scalable for if we wish to increase the size or any other thing, and we can do that easily. And it is also quite secure. So how does that relate to the backend of the application? So for backend, it was important because we need the processing to be faster, and also the text is of small size, and it can be easily it can be easily processed once it is required. And the image, as I explained earlier, is because it gives a general idea and it captures the attention, and we can convey the idea better. Next slide, please. So what Canadian standards for e-commerce security is our application subject to, and how does your application meet those standards? So the basic standards for e-commerce include the use of HTTPS, SSL certification, and asking for a CVV number. So as of now, since we are deploying our application on Heroku, it is using HTTPS, which is quite secure and it prevents the man-in-middle attacks. So as of now, we are not using SSL certification because we are using the free tier of Heroku. But once we shift to the more advanced tier like the standard one, we will get the SSL. It will provide the SSL certification for us as well. And asking for CVV number, we have entered that for the credit and debit payments. Like the user, even if he or she enters the credit card details, he won't be able to process further if there is no CVV entered. Next, please. So how much do you expect this application to cost in terms of production, training, and deployment and maintenance? So by our calculations, if we use the RDS instance of T3 large and the CPU's S2 and the memory of 8 GB, the monthly cost for RDS MySQL instance will be around $198.56 and the storage pricing will be $23. So that totals up to $221.56. For Heroku, it is $25 to $50 per dyno per month. But if we want the processing to be faster, we will take the dyno which is of $50, and as it runs on for the applications which need around 1 GB of RAM or more CPU. So we can start with by purchasing 2 dynos that will be of $100. So as per my calculations, it will be around $332 per month.